Shush. 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 Enough. Hi folks, how's it going? I just wanted to give you an update because so much has changed with the wildfire situation in the last, I don't remember when the last video was. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe that long ago. Things were pretty tense for quite some time, but now the fire is under control and the state of emergency has lifted, and everybody who can go home was allowed to go home. So let me just, I have a couple of articles that I saved that I want to just make sure that I have the information correct as it's happening. I'm not going to make stuff up. So, no, I don't want this one. I want the other one. Okay. So, the most recent update that I have is the Kingston fire is now under control and all evacuation alerts are lifted. And so we've had rain. I'll insert a couple of videos here. I have had videos made, but I have not had time to put them all together, and then things have changed so much, so I'm just doing this instead, and I'll put in a few clips here and there. So this was on the 30th, so Saturday. It is currently September 1st. So on August 30th, the state of emergency was lifted, and all the evacuation alerts were lifted. People had been going home before that, but they were still under alert. So now all the alerts have been lifted. Let's see. So people have been able to go home. Of course, the people who lost their homes they have not been able to go home. They've been able to go and look to see things. So that's been on the news, and it's been quite emotional. Like I see these people on the news, and then I see them in the grocery store, and it's just really heart-wrenching. But for the people who have been able to go home, some of them, their homes for the past 3 weeks had no power because Newfoundland Power turned it off, because that is just an additional thing to have to worry about. Power lines kind of blown up or whatever, or the power poles had burned, so they had to, there was just nothing to get power to the homes. So those people, they went home to rancid refrigerators and freezers, so now they have to clean that out, which is just, I can't even imagine. The closest I can get to imagining that is the blackout from August 2003, I think it was. I was in an apartment. I was living in an apartment in Stouffville, and nothing in my fridge went bad because I just kept it closed. Our power was out for about 24 hours or so. But for some reason, everybody just dumped stuff out of their refrigerator without even checking to see if it's still good or not. And they dumped it all in the dumpster that was in the parking lot. And the dumpster was just across the parking lot from my kitchen window. I didn't have air conditioning, so in order to get a breeze through my apartment, I had the windows open, but I couldn't until even after the next garbage pickup day, because it was just gross. And then sometimes going into grocery stores for a few days after that, after they had cleaned everything out, it was you could still smell the rotten meat. So that's the closest I can get. But the people here are going into their homes after it's been without power for like 2 to 3 weeks, and like they have to throw out the contents of the fridge and freezer, and then they have to throw out the fridge and the freezer because it's just contaminated. So that's going to be a lot of difficulty because there's not a lot of appliance stores here on the island. So they, they might have to get appliances all shipped in. So that's just that's one of the things. So the fire it's still active. I haven't seen an update today because it's a holiday. So as of Saturday, it was still active, and the whole area covers 10,095 hectares. I'll look up the conversion to acres and put that there somewhere. It has rained. Yesterday it rained for a couple of hours or a few hours. My car windows were open while I was at work. I don't think it was supposed to rain because I left my windows open, but it rained because I left my windows open. And then it rained on Saturday for quite a lot of the day, and it was like a good downpour. So that really helped. We've had some good rain. It's still not anywhere near to what the average is for August here on the Avalon Peninsula, but we've had some rain, so that really helped put the fires out or like calm it down. So a lot of the crews that were here from other areas, they have now left. I think we just have kind of local, like Newfoundland firefighters still on the ground here. And they've moved on to Nova Scotia, where they have an out-of-control wildfire there, which is about the same size, about 10,000 hectares, which is just crazy. Some homes are still without power, so, these people, they can opt to not, go home, or they can, go there and just, lanterns and candles, or if they have a generator, they can use that. A lot of people in Newfoundland have a generator. So that was as of, I think Friday or Saturday. And then there's one of the community centers that survived the fire. It is like a 12-hour a day, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Drop-in center for people from the affected area. It's not just for anybody to drop in. It's for people within the affected area to still receive help for like getting stuff done, or like, and they're also making meals. So there's that one, and then there was, let me see, some people just suck. So while everyone was evacuated from their homes, there were people going in looting homes while people were out. So they're getting in, they're going up on ATVs or walking in, or somehow, like, the highway was closed, so they're going up back roads, or they're going by ATV, which in itself was stupid because, like, ATVs were asked not to go into grassy and forested areas on ATVs, because that is possibly one of the ways that a wildfire can get started. So anyway, people were going up and houses were looted. Someone, like RCMP, went by and they just happened to notice that someone's house had been broken into when they were up there patrolling, like, during the fire. And so they notified those people, and like an ATV was stolen, and they don't know exactly what was stolen from within the house because the people could not go up there. So I imagine they've gone back home now and they've been able to kind of take inventory. But then for a week or two, they're looking for whoever it was that stole the ATV, and it's like a brand new ATV. So RCMP was doing, full-time ATV patrols in the area to just keep people's homes secure from these assholes who were looting. And so then someone came up at some point and like handed over the keys and said, here's, I found the ATV that was stolen. Well, it was the person that stole it. So someone had, like, someone's house that still had power. I think this is how it went. Someone's house that still had power got ring camera footage of like people in the area. So those people have now been caught, and I believe they have been charged with at least the theft of the ATV and possibly break and enter and other thefts. Like, it's just freaking ridiculous that while people are experiencing the worst thing that they're ever possibly gonna experience in their life, their house is potentially gonna burn down, and then people are going and looting. Like, how? Like, it's not like after Hurricane Katrina people were looting stores to try and get food to feed themselves. They were going and looting just to steal things and be assholes. They weren't like starving and they're not going into the house to get food. No, they went and they stole the freaking brand new ATV. Like, that's just the worst of people. So the RCMP had been up there patrolling. So, like, I don't know, it's just crazy. People being idiots like that. So I've learned, like, other than, there's like the best of people here and the worst of people here. I've learned a whole lot about how wildfires work, because just, watching things on the news or on podcasts and stuff. So, like, I don't know if this probably did not make the news in the United States, but here in Canada, yes, we have had a lot of wildfires because the entire country has suffered with lower than normal snowfall in the wintertime and lower than normal rainfall since the beginning of this year. So there are a lot of fires burning in Canada at the moment, and it's tragic to lose all of the, not just people's family homes and community centers and public buildings and stuff like that, but all of those trees and all of that wildlife that's getting caught in these fires. Like, this is more even going to contribute to global climate change because all of the carbon that's being released in the smoke, and now the trees are not going to be there to suck up all of that. But there were some senators or governors or something from the United States that sent harshly worded letters to Canadian officials saying, do something about your fires, you're ruining our summer. Yeah. The Canadian fires are ruining Americans' summer. Well, excuse us. How about when things are on fire in the United States, Canada sends help, not harshly worded letters saying put your fires out, manage your forests better. No, we go and we help. For crying out loud, seriously? Honest to God. So, I don't know if you know how big Canada is. Canada is really big, and a lot of it is covered in trees. A lot of it is extremely remote. Even part of the fire that's here, it started in a not easy to get to area, so you don't notice it burning right away. And there are various theories about how this fire got started. We won't know until the investigation is complete, so I'm not even going to go into that. I will post a link below in the description to a podcast or a radio show that they also videotape. It's a CBC radio show called The Signal. here in Newfoundland, and they spoke with a fire investigator, and he talked about all the different ways that a fire can start, whether it's a forest wildfire or a house fire. And sometimes it's not like human caused wildfire does not mean arson. It could mean just someone, flicked a cigarette butt out the window. That's human cause. Someone had a campfire and was not careful with it. Human cause. Not intentional, it's just human caused. Someone driving their ATV down a really dry, grassy trail and a spark happens. Human cause. Not intentional, not arson, but human cause. So I don't know if a lot of people are misinterpreting when a fire investigation says, yes, this was human cause with arson, but it's not always arson. And here in Newfoundland, we don't get a whole lot of lightning, so there's not a whole lot of wildfires here that are going to be started by lightning. It's going to be human causes. So like Canada's really big, and it's covered in trees, and a lot of it is very, very remote. It's difficult to get to, and if it is in such a remote area that it's not endangering people's homes, then typically they just leave it, because those resources are needed for putting out fires that are endangering people's lives, are endangering people's homes, are endangering towns. So yeah, there's going to be smoke. Where there's fire, there's going to be smoke, especially if it's giant trees. So unfortunately, that smoke, just because of the way the jet stream goes, it blows the smoke down to the US, but it also blows it across Canada. So we were receiving smoke from the mainland as well. Yeah. Anyway, so that's just rude, really. And then, so I don't know exactly how many homes were burnt in this fire. There were around 200 structures counted. So among those 200 structures, there was a school, like an elementary school. I believe there was a church. There was a community center. I believe there was a post office. It's not a very densely populated area. So a lot of that is going to be wide open, but some of it is going to be principal homes that were burned. Sometimes it may have burned the garage or the shed, but not the house. Sometimes some of the buildings that burned were secondary homes or cabins, but a lot of people lost their primary residence, lost their home. So it's very, very sad. And then a lot of farmers lost all of their livestock, which is very, very sad as well. And then, of course, there's the loss of wildlife, which I'm sure probably got caught in the fires, just could not get out. So, like the people complaining about the fires or the smoke from Canada ruining their summer in the US. Well, think about the human impact of this, and think about what that comment says. It's like, well, they're more important than the people who have just lost their homes, or the people who have just lost their livelihood because their farm burned and all of their livestock went with it. Think about the people who lost their pets. I met a woman yesterday whose dog died. Her dog evacuated with her, but the stress of the evacuation caused him to just shut down, and he died. Another man lost his dog because he evacuated, but he initially could not go into where they were housing the evacuees, so he lived in his truck, and we're in the middle of a heat wave at the time, and one of his dogs died from heat before he was able to find an air-conditioned room to get to. So, it's not just like, thankfully there was no loss of human life. There was a lot of animals lost. There's no loss of human life. I'm sure there were firefighters who were injured. I don't think anybody was majorly injured, but I mean, when you have volunteer firefighters who don't have wildfire equipment, PPE, they're fighting this wildfire with like regular firefighter turnouts, like 40 pounds of gear. It's not the right stuff. The province is now going to buy the volunteer firefighters PPE, like proper wildfire fighting PPE for next fire season. God, it's just, fire should not be a season, and yet it is. Everywhere now. It's not just Canada. It's not just the United States. Spain is on fire. Portugal's on fire. France is on fire. I think England even had wildfires. Italy, Turkey, like everywhere is just on fire. And it's because of global climate change. Everything is just hotter and drier than it used to be. So, I mean, we all need to adjust to what's going on. It has been incredibly stressful. I think I'm going to make a different video later. Not later today, but at some other time. Just to go through my 72-hour bag that I made early. That video I made in May. So I'm going to go through my go bag, and then I'm going to talk about what I learned from the evacuees and all the stuff that I learned, like just from watching the volunteers who were like taking care of the evacuees, and what I kind of learned like just watching the news and listening to podcasts and stuff like that. So a 72-hour bag for, I think, a lot of people is just not going to be enough, especially if you are in an area that is susceptible to wildfire. So that'll just be, kind of, this is what I learned as someone who was living on the periphery of a wildfire. I didn't actually have to evacuate, obviously, but that threat was there, and we were told here within the state of emergency zone to have a go bag ready. So we had to have that ready. I just didn't have to use it. It's still all that stuff is still sitting by my door though. And they lifted the evacuations for a lot of the areas a week ago now. So it's been a little while since people have been able to start going home, but it's still been very stressful, and the fire is still going. So even with all the rain that we've had, the fire is still active. It is now under control, which is very, very good, and I'm very, very happy about that. Some of the stress is lifted, but it's still there. So, if the temperatures go up again, who knows? Right now they're kind of back down to seasonal normals, and it's been raining on and off for like 3 days, which is great. So we're all happy about rain, which sounds weird, but we are all very happy about rain. So next, I may be able at some point to feel comfortable about going out for an overnight backpacking trip. However, now I'm dealing with Cindy Lou injured herself. Was it last week? I think. I don't remember exactly the day. We have a vet appointment for her next week. I just haven't been able to get into any vet any sooner. They're all just booked up solid. So she's going to see the vet next week, and then the week after that I am going to Ontario for a week to visit with family. My uncle died, and so I'm going up there for the memorial service, and just to, you know, it's just really a quick visit to see friends and family. I'm taking a week off of, like 7 days off of work, but it's only like a 5-day visit in Toronto because like one day is traveling in, and the next last day is traveling out, and I have to get up at, oh my god, it's early. So it's not easy flying in and out of St. John's. Air Canada, their services are still kind of unknown because the flight attendants went on strike, and then they might still be going out on strike because the deal that they got was not exactly what everybody wanted. So I didn't book with Air Canada, which has more frequent flights back and forth. But I didn't want to book with them and then possibly get stranded somewhere. So I ended up with Porter, but they only have one direct flight a day, and it's at, oh my god, it's early. And then WestJet, I swear they were gouging because they wanted over $900 for a direct flight from St. John's to Toronto. $900 for, forget, it's not even a 3-hour flight, I think. And then the airline that I flew here, the ultra low cost airline that I flew here last year, they don't come to St. John's anymore. Of course, because, you know, why would they? I managed to get a sort of affordable flight with Porter. It's just not very convenient. Anyway, so once we get back from that, and it depends what the vet says about Cindy Lou's leg. And it's not the one that she had surgery on, it's the other one. So it depends on what the vet says about her leg and how she's feeling and what we need to do for that. When we will be able to get out and do a backpacking trip. And then it's also going to depend on what the weather does, because it might just, I don't know, might just start snowing sometime. I don't know. Who knows? Because the weather is just so crazy. So that's the plan for now anyway, that once I'm back from Ontario, sort of the middle of September, I'll look into doing an overnight if nobody's injured and there's no fires burning where we want to go and it's not snowing. So anyway, thanks for watching. I have some other videos that I'm going to edit and put up after this that I've done within the last 2 weeks. My aunt was here visiting last week, so we went out one day doing some touristy things locally, and so I'll put that video up. Yeah, and I guess catch you later.